morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to an episode of the Good Living Podcast. It's Monday morning and it just rained. The rain just stopped. It's very early. And I don't have the energy for this whole YouTube thing to go and sit down and start turning on lights and cameras. So this is just going to be an audio episode. So yeah, I'll go straight to the point. There are 3 stories my dad told me about 3 weeks ago or so. He normally tells me stories, tells us stories. And I used to just see them as interesting gist and it's been several years since he last told me a story, and then he told me these ones. And then I understood that people who are old, much older than us, they see life, they see lessons and results, they see karma play out. They see the beginning and the end of different stories in real life, in real time, play before their very eyes, because people do certain things and then they see this person from the beginning towards the end of their life, until the end of their life, so they actually see the full story of somebody's life. I know some stories go beyond generations, but these ones I'm pretty sure they end where he told me they ended. And shout out to my dad, Mr. Humphrey Okechukwu Ananaba, for these stories, for this episode, and shout out to all of you who are watching. So the first one was about one of his friends. Forgot him. We were just going to call the guy Jack. Jack was light-skinned, tall. My dad is tall as well, but he said the guy was taller than him, was well built, muscles and all. And they were together at teacher's college. Right? There's a period of my dad's life where he taught at a teacher's college. But this guy was always doing better than them because they were staying in the same area as per teachers in that school. They were staying in the same area. And this guy was doing better than them financially because, he did agriculture in school. So he had animals he was rearing and selling. So he was doing business, agricultural business on the side with animals. And that made him to have more money, right? So he was doing great. Then he bought a bike. Then that bike, I can't remember what kind of bike it was. It was a big deal. It's just like us buying cars now. And he was doing okay. And then this guy, he had a girlfriend. Got a girlfriend, a fine girl that was with him. They were dating for a while, for a few months, and then this girl got married to somebody else. Like, she had to get married to a business guy in Aba. Although his friend had money, Jack had money, but the businessman that his babe was getting married to was way richer. Was like a proper businessman with proper money, was an actual millionaire when our currency was something. And so she got married to that guy. After a few months, the guy died. The guy she got married to died. The rich guy. And then she now came back and asked Jack to impregnate her because she's not pregnant for this guy that died, for this businessman that died. And she wants to retain the family name. She wants to remain in the family. And she cannot do that without a child. And so she ran quick and asked Jack to impregnate her so that she can have something to say, okay, I still belong to this family, I'm pregnant for your son. And so Jack brought the case to his friends, which includes my dad and 1 or 2 other people. And my father said that he advised against it. He's always that kind of person that believes in me. He advised against it. He said that's wickedness against the dead, and it is unfair to do that kind of thing, which I also agree with. And he doesn't know he said he doesn't know what Jack did at the end of the day. But that is Jack's girlfriend. And Jack is not exactly a religious person. So, I'm inclined to believe that Jack did it, right? There's no reason for him not to, apart from all his wickedness against the devil, like doing a favor for his ex-girlfriend. And he might now have a stake in that family money, the one that she has access to as well. It's to be a no-brainer for him, like, if I understand Jack's personality. And I think he did it. But here's the thing. About a year later, Jack developed problems. Like, in a day, he just had problem in his chest and he was like shaking, and then they took him to the hospital and he was pronounced dead. Let's just say it's the case of slumping and dying. That was his case. Nobody knows exactly what happened to him. He was just there. And my dad, no social media, so he really doesn't know what happened to the other girl as well. So that was the story of Jack. And that's how Jack died. The next story I'm going to tell you is... when I record like this, I can't pause anything. Let me try and remember. Which reminded me of my old episodes where I used to do this delay. The next story was of this guy. my father's friend as well. This was when my father just started working with 7 Up Bottling Company. And there was this guy he had, this friend he had. The guy was a chronic womanizer. The guy was womanizing pieces. See this guy, bah? His father was a palm wine tapper. But he was getting money because palm wine tapping around those days was a lot. Yeah, was still lucrative business. It's still lucrative business in the rural areas as well. And this guy was the only, child of somebody that has grown, to a level where he needs things. The other ones are small children. So he's dad to give me a lot of money. So growing up, they knew each other from like secondary school level. So the guy used to have money and girls because he was very influential and charismatic and handsome as well. So he was a chronic womanizer. And so when my dad got that job, they used to do some programs like before they bring in new staff, they used to do like workshops and stuff. So that guy used to come to those workshops. Every time he's coming with different girls. Sometimes girls that are coming for the workshop as well, he already knows like 4 or 5 of them that he's sleeping with. And then they'll come and stay in my dad's house. Like, my dad, I don't know how big it was. I didn't ask those questions. But those girls, they will stay in the house with this. So there will be like 7 people in the house. My dad, his friend, and like 4 girls that he's with. They will be like his colleagues, though, but he's sleeping with all of them. But only him and my dad would know. There might be one that knows about the others. But the rest just think they're having a secret affair with him. So that's how I used to womanize. Even to the point where this guy had married women too. Married women, there was a particular married woman my father remembers that had a husband in prison, right? Her husband was arrested. He was in prison, and this guy was sleeping with this woman back to back. The woman's money that they will gather, the family will gather for like his case to give lawyers or whatever, is this woman that she'll bring it to this guy and they will chop it together. So that was his lifestyle. And then somewhere further along the line in life, he got a girlfriend, a serious one that everybody now knows him with, So, when you grow older now, you're a bit mature, that humanizing life isn't really there. Plus, now to be a womanizer, you need to have money safe. So maybe that was one of the factors. And then he was just there. He had his girlfriend, sorry. And then everybody knew 2 of them together. It's like all the serious relationships you see around. And everybody knew they were about to get married because in those days, they didn't really waste time like that. I mean, they did, but it wasn't rampant like that. So he stood. He was dating this girl. And then the girl just called them one day. Sorry this story if I'm wasting too much time. The girl just called them, sent him a message one day that they are doing something in their house. She invited him to an occasion they are doing in her house, her family house. These people, they dated for like a year plus, so very close. They are doing an occasion in their house. So they should come. So they came. My dad, his friend, and another of his friend. The 3 people of them went to the girl's house. They see drinks everywhere. They even helped offload some drinks, because the canopies helped set up as per in babe house now. Just helped with certain things. Occasion is starting. They realized, wait though, this is a traditional wedding. His girlfriend's traditional wedding to another man. She didn't even answer him as they came that day. So my father was not asking him. He said it in this way. He said they to call themselves daddy. Then as per our guys, daddy, is this not your, in Igbo obviously, is this not your babe? What is going on here? And the guy was so distraught, he couldn't even answer himself. He was heartbroken for several months. He couldn't believe his eyes. And like I said, no social media. So if he goes write letters, of course there will be no response. He's trying to talk to somebody's wife. No phone as well. So that's how breakups used to be extremely painful. There's no let me text her back or anything like that. Once it's done, it's done. They've left you. And that's really messed up. So all that humanizing lifestyle is what I think the lesson he learned. But that's not all. The man is still alive, right? I'm never putting any name to him because I don't even know him personally. So now he married somebody else, right? But this somebody else she can't get pregnant. Like 2 of them as a couple. My dad is 60. I think my dad is 65 now. So I'm guessing this person is around his age. This man doesn't have a child of his own. Although he does. He does now because they did surrogacy, right? Had the surrogate mother mix his wife's egg with his sperm, give it so. That's the only way they could have their child. And so they have twins now. But, directly give birth. It's not possible. And that's how that one went. I don't know if I should tell one more story because In fact, I'll tell one more. Fuck it. So this one now, yeah, all these are my father's friends. I don't know any of them, but this story I'm about to tell you guys now, at least this one, I know this man because it's more recent. Let's say 2005, 2003. Certain factors of this story play out in those recent times. So here it goes. My father has a friend, Gospel, right? We just call him Uncle Gospel. So I know that name because in all this all this album, your family house, you have albums now. This picture book with pictures from even before you were born. So my family had that. I could see my father's life from secondary school up until he married my mom in that picture book. So I knew his friends by face and name. So I knew Uncle Gospel. So he told me that Uncle Gospel, when he was younger, they knew each other from secondary school. In fact, him and Uncle Gospel knew each other from probably primary school. And this is a very, very, very good friend. But, the guy is fair. Uncle Gospel is actually very, very light-skinned and tall. And he said that he needs to be big and well-built as well. But the thing with Gospel is he's very unorganized, disorganized, very shattered in a way. Up and down. Like, the guy could go 4 days and not take his bath. But he always had women coming around him. Like, he always had girls that liked him. And just like in the olden days, it's a bit different. I know girls are still like that, but it's a bit different now. Like, people can just crush on you and like you and be with you for a long time. Now, women are the money thing is such a big factor now. Like, somebody can like you just like that, but it won't last. They will not stay with you or be patient with you that much if you're not having money to offer. Because my father didn't tell me anything about Uncle Gospel having so much money, but women liked him. So he will have one girlfriend at a time, and that will take care of him, like, really, really pet him. So all this is not batting, wearing dirty clothes, all those things, they will take care of him completely, right? And they used to admire that, and they used to be grateful to those girls. But Gospel himself doesn't seem to be grateful to them. So he had one girlfriend since from secondary school. And that one, everybody thought, okay, they'll get married, but they understood why he didn't marry her because age caught up with her, right? She was his mate, and you know how it is now. Women, her time, she was past it. By the time he was going to get ready, she was already past it. So yeah, he didn't pursue her anymore. She let that one go. And then he now had a new girlfriend. We are going to call her Ifoma. I don't even know the real names. We're going to call her Ifoma. A very fine girl that stayed with Uncle Gospel for a number of years. I can't remember how long, but he said they were together for a very, very long time. She was patient with him. She was with him. She was good to him. Everything. But, work, family, these friends separated. So they slowly talk on phone and da-da-da-da. And then when Uncle Gospel was about to get married, cards came out. And it was not Ifoma. It was a girl named Nena. And they're like, Gospel, what happened to this one? He wasn't really giving them a straightforward answer. Because I asked him, so why did he say why he broke up with her? Because, certain times, some cases, some stories might seem like, this guy is at fault. But if you look at it, if he did something bad, that he knows of. He said, nothing, that she wanted to use charm to hold him down with it. Just gave some kind of excuse that even my dad told me he didn't believe. And so Uncle Gospel was going to get married to Nena. And he did. Now, the problem is that so it was painful. The way he has discarded these women that has taken care of him. He really didn't used to care about them. Like I said, he would cheat on them. He would replace one. He had overlapping relationships. He would replace one with the other and really not give a fuck about any other one that even really took care of him. They'll spend money on him and all that stuff. He's lazy. Alright, the man is lazy. He's lazy, right? That's the explanation basically. And so he married Nena, but that's where Wahala came. Nena was a wayward person. Like, she didn't respect him. She would leave his house and go out to see other men. Like, I don't even know how he was able to take that, but that was not my business. But that's the kind of complaints that Uncle Gospel started giving to my dad. Like, this is why he wasn't staying one place. She used to gallivant, man would come and drop her in his house. She would chance him when he asks. She would not even cook some days. He was just suffering in the marriage. And then I remember, this is my first memory of, because I had seen the man in pictures, several years of my life. But when I was like 9 years old, when we went back to Abia, that time my dad said, let him go and see his friend. So that was when I was going to see this man for the first time. And even though my memory is very, very vague, when my dad was telling me this story, I now remember that man's wife then was she was being awkward that day. But I was probably too young to interpret it, but I knew something was wrong. It's now in my head, when I'm hearing this story as an adult, I realize, wait, this one was really being very, awkward with visitors. I'm sure my dad would have been embarrassed with the way she was frowning and walking back and forth. But she was a fine, tall woman, because I described her to my dad. I said, wait, his current wife, is she tall, beautiful? He said, yeah, tall, light-skinned, fine. I said, well, okay. So I remember part of that. And so Uncle Gospel then had a problem with the police. He's a police officer, but he had a corruption issue, fraud issue, that landed him in prison. And then from there, it just became worse. So his life just derailed. She took his kid. They had a son. She took his kid. It's after he got out in 2016, after going to jail in 2011 or 2009. 2016, that he went and took his son from, that is a Gospel Junior, from the woman. So he suffered entirely in that marriage. I don't know how he's doing right now. I've never heard my dad talk about him in a while. Even after the story, my father didn't give me any follow-up. But I'm sure they're still friends. It's a lifetime friendship. But I think with these stories, there's more he told me, but I'll just leave down for probably another episode, or if somebody needs it personally, I can tell them. I don't want this episode to be too long. So, last, at the end of the day, we do not know the ending of certain things. When they say, for example, they will say, good girl no dey pay. This is just one small phase of your life. This is your 20-something. It's just one small phase of your life. When somebody from an external perspective sees the things you're doing and hears your story from beginning until you're 50-something, and they can now see the full story and say, yo, it is these actions and these actions and these actions that brought about these results and these results. Because older people have told us karma is real. Other people have told us what goes around comes around. These people who are old and wise, who have experienced and seen things, have told us that you do not really get away with doing evil. And you can't eat your cake and have it and all that stuff. And you do not see these consequences immediately. And when you see them, it's too late to regress. All you can do is advise you, which is what they do to us, but you cannot learn your lessons directly unless you experience them, unless you're very smart, and then you can now take examples from stories. Otherwise, you have to express it yourself. You have to make the mistakes yourself. So at the end of the day, let us all know, that our life is long, but there's this karmic, let me not use that word. There's this cycle of things that happen, right? And it always happens. If you do bad, it will come back to you somehow. In your own generation, in your own life. It's not your children that will see the cause. Thank you very much for listening to the Good Living Podcast. I didn't mean for this episode to be long.